Okay. So I'll begin with lighting of our unity candle. We light this candle each week just to remind us in our consciousness as we come together in one mind, recognizing that the light of Spirit is that light for each of our lives. And as we join as a spiritual community, we come together honoring that presence of the divine that lives in, as, and through each one of us. Will you join me as we open in prayer? We pause and turn within, recognizing that God is all there is. And as we begin this service this morning, we leave behind all the busyness of the morning, and we turn to that still, quiet place where we recognize our time with Spirit. I know that as we join together in consciousness today, each one of us opens our hearts and minds to receive the message of Spirit. And so with great gratitude, I know that this time is sacred and it is blessed. And I bless each one as we affirm together, and so it is. Thank you for being here with us today. Welcome to the Louisville Center for Spiritual Living. My name is Reverend McCollum, and I'm the spiritual director. We know that this is an inclusive community, that wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. And we want you to know that. We're glad that there are many ways to have a relationship with the God of your understanding. So we celebrate that diversity in spirit, and we are one human family. So we're glad that you're here with us today, and we bless you. We bless all that are here in person today through our technology and all that will be listening to this service in the future. Thank you. And now I'd like to share our opening song, and that is Stayed on Spirit. So let me cue that up for you here.
I don't know about y'all, but I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on Spirit. Here we go. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on Spirit. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on Spirit. When I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on Spirit. Hallelujah.
now I'm going to turn it over to Vicki Jeter, our practitioner of the day, and she is going to lead us in a meditation.
Thank you, Rick. Our theme this month is the winds of change. And it is so much my pleasure to have the opportunity to lead our meditation today, moving into our annual meeting, because as most of you know, we have been through so many changes as Louisville Center for Spiritual Living, on top of everything else that's gone on in everyone's life. And so I opened this meditation this morning with an honoring of where we've been, and the meditation will represent where we are and where we're going in a comfort zone with the flow of change. The winds of change, the shifting winds of change blow ceaselessly, it seems. Scattered pieces of my life, like fallen leaves, dance dizzily round my weary feet. Frantic, I rush to keep them collected, lest some part be lost. Always with fervent hope that there is too a calm beyond the storm. So just take a moment within yourselves and recognizing that you have the support of everyone around you to take that pausing breath. Breathe in deeply and exhale completely, dropping in to your relationship to the changes that we've been through. Find a comfortable, relaxed space and just invite them to come around. There's no need for fear, either from you to them or from your changes to you. They're just changes. And as all entities do in God's universe, they too are looking for acceptance. Just imagine your changes in your life are gathering around, and everyone's peaceful and everything's all right. And see if you can imagine, after everyone has settled and is comfortable, almost like being on a Zoom. Everyone's just come around and everyone's in the same space, you and the changes you've been through in your life, as if they are people. Take another breath and relax. And imagine, gently and easily, arising from where you've been, and see if you can approach the various changes, remembering that all creations of God have their purpose. All creations of God are of love and are returning to love, no matter what their appearance. They have their gift for us. So see if you can approach the changes that have come in your life one at a time. Some of them that we have in common are the shift from having a brick and mortar in-person church to being virtual. See if you can find that experience in your grouping of changes and greet it with a namaste or an energetic hug. And as you get used to this idea, and you know your own story, you know your own path, one at a time, greet the changes. And among these must certainly be Corona and the vaccines and the adjustments that we've made to possibly no longer going out to eat to our favorite restaurants. Perhaps some of our favorite restaurants have closed. What are the things that have changed for you? See them one at a time and make a heart connection to the change itself. And then, as you imagine having the space to greet the individual changes you've been through, imagine that among those gathered, there is the idea of change itself. And what's true, much like learning how to develop a new relationship with someone we haven't understood as well, and suddenly we find ourselves with an opportunity to go to lunch or at an event where we got to share an experience. Imagine coming to a new understanding of change in general. And as you do, you find out that change has actually been waiting for you to take directive. Change has been waiting for your direction. Imagine how it would feel to partner with change in your life and recognize that it's not really trying to lead you around. It's not really trying to be that controlling person in your life. It's really waiting to be an ally. It's waiting to have that experience of the two of you taking hands and recognizing that when it signals that change is coming, that you can participate with it. You can say, oh, I know, you're the advent of something new, and new is birth, and everything's all right. We'll get through the birth and then the sustaining, and then, yes, indeed, there will be that which falls away. And there is a preparedness for that. But it's a good thing because it heralds growth and newness and expansion like what we're experiencing now. Whoever thought when we first started going virtual that we would become this group that extends from Canada through the United States and Mexico to Barbados? Oh my goodness. And so imagine that moving forth from this place, you have a whole new frame of reference for change itself, remembering that like our bodies and like money and like all the other parts of our lives, it's waiting to see what we say about what we want and how we want to act. And so stand back now where you can see the whole grouping. Just see how it feels. And one more time, namaste. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Knowing you can return here anytime to do maintenance on this relationship overall. Take one more breath, and when you're ready, come back.
Thank you, Vicki. And now we'll have our special song for today. This is Change by Kai Lee.
I love the springtime, it brings me hope. Everything's blooming with life. All things seem possible this time of year. Somehow it all just feels right. But just as I start to get used to the spring, summer decides to arrive. Oh, life is in motion, everything's going to change. Oh, life is in motion, everything's going to change. I love the summer, it brings me love. everything's fully alive. All things seem happier this time of year. Somehow it all just feels right. But just as I start to get used to the summer, autumn decides to arrive. Oh, life is in motion, everything's going to change. Oh, life is in motion, everything's going to change. I love the autumn, it brings me joy. Everything's colored with light. All things seem easier this time of year. Somehow it all just feels right. But just as I start to get used to the autumn, winter decides to arrive. Oh, life is in motion, everything's going to change. Oh, life is in motion, everything's going to change. I love the winter, it brings me peace. Everything's resting inside. All things seem clearer this time of year. Somehow it all just feels right. But just as I start to get used to the winter, spring then decides to arrive. Oh, life is in motion, everything's going to change. Oh, life is in motion, everything's going to change. Oh, life is in motion, everything's going to change. Oh, life is in motion, everything's going to, everything's going to, everything's going to change.
Everything's going to change. So how many people here like change? Well, sometimes, but there are many different types of change, aren't there? So we are talking today about winds of change. You know, last month we talked about Spirit's vision for our lives. And so as we step into the unknown of what Spirit's vision is, it gets revealed each day as we move through life. And we mostly will be experiencing some times of change. One of my favorite Chinese proverbs I'll share with you here. It says, when the winds of change blow, some people build walls, others build windmills. Think about that. Some people build walls, others build windmills. What's your tendency in life? Do you build a wall to try to protect yourself from the winds of change? To try to keep things like they've always been? Or do you build windmills so that you can capture that power of the wind of change and use it to propel you forward in life? It's our choice what we're going to do. When I think about Spirit, and I think about how it is constantly creating, I know that change is a natural state for all of us. Just like the song, oh, life is in motion, everything's going to change. I know none of us are living a life that is changeless. Sometimes we tend to hold on to things a little too tight, and then the change really does hurt, doesn't it? But change does happen whether we welcome it or whether we fight against it. How many of you are listening to 8-track tapes on a daily basis? You see, life does change. And it's our choice. Will we build a wall or will we build a windmill? When I think about the year 2020, what a year it has been. Thank you, Vicki, for that meditation and greeting that change in our lives. We went from that comfortable in-person church service to virtual services. I was at a conference through CSL, on Zoom, of course, and they were talking about the year 2020 and changes there and how we have moved to virtual services. And they gave the analogy, this being like building a plane in flight. You see, as we realized that we went from our in-person services and the next week we had to do a virtual service, for many of us, we were scrambling to figure out how do we do that? What platform will we use? Do we have the technology? What do we need to buy? What's available for us so that we can connect in a virtual manner? Over a year later now, we look back and think, oh, this is really something that we can do. So we've learned to connect through Zoom. We've learned to use the technology. And we've learned to wear face masks when we're out in public. We've learned that many gatherings, social events, schools, even lunch dates with our friends have needed to be canceled due to the pandemic. So we've learned to be safe at home. During this time, have you found ways to build yourself up? Or have you found that you're in the poor me mode? It's easy to do that. Will we build a wall or will we build a windmill? It's our choice. I have heard about Lake Leman, and I want to share this visual with you. Lake Leman is near Geneva, Switzerland, and it's a very large lake. It's between the Alps and the Jura Mountains. On days when there's very little wind, sailors will watch across the lake to see where there's a ripple in the water, and then they will head in that direction. They know that a ripple in the water means that there is a wind blowing there. And when they reach that area, they will set their sails so that the wind can fill up their sails and propel them forward on their journey. It's stated that there are 70 different winds that blow on this Lake Leman. 70 different winds. That's a lot of changing winds. And so the sailors who learn to utilize the wind to get to their destination are the ones that are most successful. What do we do? I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. What do we do when the winds of change blow? Do we relax into that? And do we know that the wind of change is really just spirit in our life? That spirit is everything and everywhere. Are you willing to trust spirit? When I realize that God is omnipresent and omnipotent, meaning everywhere present and all powerful, then there's not a place that God is not. And wherever I am, my God is. And so as I relax into that understanding, I know that I can trust spirit. And I know that good and more good is coming to my life. I know with certainty that the winds of change that move through my life are taking me to something even better. I trust spirit. I have faith in God. And I know that that good is coming to my life. I believe it, I claim it, and I claim it for me, and I claim it for you. Each one of us has good and more good coming to us as we open ourselves to it. Are you willing to trust spirit? that no matter what the wind of change looks like, that it is bringing you to a higher place, to a better place in life. You know, science of mind is not the only religion that will contemplate the change and how it's constantly occurring. I looked at some other faith traditions, and I'd like to share a few of these with you. From the Buddhist tradition, Buddha said, "Just as a snake sheds its skin over and over, we must shed our past over and over again." From Taoism, Lao Tzu said, "If you realize that all things change, there is nothing you'll try to hold on to. If you're not afraid of dying, there's nothing you cannot achieve." Lao Tzu is talking about if it's all God, if we are eternal beings, then we're not going to die. Oh, sure, our physical bodies may pass away, but our spiritual bodies are always alive. And so there's nothing that we have to try to hold on to because it's all God. From Confucianism, Confucius said, "If you think in terms of a year, plant a seed. If you think in terms of 10 years, plant a tree. If you think in terms of 100 years, teach the people." Where is your thinking? Is it just a year? Is it 10 years? Or are you looking for how you make an impact for 100 years? It's your choice. You can build a wall or you can build a windmill. And from the Native American wisdom, it says, "Between who you once were and who you are now becoming is where the dance of life really takes place." Between who you were and who you are now becoming is where the dance of life really takes place. Are you ready to dance with life? Are you ready to move with the wind? To flow with Spirit? And to move into that vision that Spirit has given you for your life? I want to leave you with an acronym for change. I hope that this acronym will help you to reframe the wind of change so that you can think of it in a positive manner, and it will help you to build a windmill to harness that power of Spirit in your life. Change, the acronym is a chance to have a new God experience. Change, a chance to have a new God experience. I love to think about change in that way because we know it's all God. So when change is happening, it's Spirit leading us to have a new experience of itself. And Spirit is not going to lead us into lack or limitation. It's only going to lead us into abundance, into unlimited possibilities. So I hope that you will look at change as a chance to have a new God experience. And I'll let you know that that acronym comes from Sister Rebecca Sheenis with Mission San Jose. It's my prayer that each one of you this week will take some time to ask Spirit, what changes do I need to make in my life now? What changes do I need to make in my life now? I know that if you do this, if you spend time asking this of Spirit, you will have a new God experience. Let us pray. Spirit, we pause and say thank you. Thank you for the new experience each and every day, the new God experience as we greet each morning and greet you as part of our life, our full life. We know that all is God and all is good. And so I bless each one of us as we look into our own lives and we ask that question, what is mine to do today? What would you have me know today, Spirit? So we open ourselves to the goodness of God. We open ourselves to the abundance of the universe. And we open ourselves to the change of life that helps us to evolve to higher and higher levels of being. I bless each of us. I release my word into the law that always says yes. And we seal it by saying together, and so it is. Thank you. And now, Vicki Jeter will lead us in our prosperity affirmation.
Thank you for that lovely message, Rick. It is once again my pleasure to invite all of you to drop into that place of prosperity for yourselves and for everyone around you. And Miss Pat has our prosperity basket and the information that you need to be able to submit your treasures and tithes is in the chat. And if anyone needs assistance with that, don't hesitate to let us know. We so appreciate each and every one of you each week for what you give, no matter how you give it. And our prosperity affirmation this day is, I'm going to say this once and then you can say it with me. It is also in the chat. I affirm that true prosperity includes perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness. I affirm that true prosperity includes perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness. Praise God.
Thank you, Vicki. And now we're going to be moving into our annual meeting. And so we will transition here, and I will say thank you to each one for being here. We open ourselves to Spirit as we open this meeting to do the business of the Louisville Center for Spiritual Living. And so I bless this time as we continue on in sacred space. And as we begin this meeting, Vicki Jeter is going to share first. And so, Vicki, you can take this away.
So, welcome everybody to our annual meeting for 2021. We are so excited to be able to have this meeting because the last time we were able to do this was like at least 3 years ago. I believe our last official annual meeting was in 2018. And so we're going to begin with familiarizing you with your present Board of Trustees. And most of you know all these beautiful people, but starting from left to right, Miss Pat Ferguson, who is our accounting treasurer, and she always has our prosperity basket. And there's myself, and I'm Vicki Jeter for anyone who doesn't know me as well. And then we have Miss Tammy Seppenfield. She is senior among our practitioners, and she also at one time was in Miss Pat's position. And every time I think of our accounting and how our finances are blessed, I always know that Tammy is holding the other side of that wing with Pat. And then we have Vernon, who is our tech support. He's known as the man behind the curtain. You guys saw him this morning, but that's a rarity. And then Gordon Newton is also on our board, and he balances out all of the other feminine energies that there tend to be moving at all the time. And then, of course, there is the blessed Reverend Rick McCollum. And so we make up your total leadership. In addition, this year, our newest board member is Bev Iyengar, and she is not here this morning unless she popped in late, but most of you know her. She actually lives in Arizona. Blessings to the idea that we can do Zoom. She was a practitioner of the center for several years before she moved to Arizona, so it's just really a perfect fit. We've worked together as a team for a long time. So if any of you ever have any ideas, concerns, or questions, you can contact any one of us and we would be happy to help you. And then at the bottom there, you'll see on the screen that we do have an open position on our board. And if someone were to come to any one of us and say that you're considering being a board member or you're curious about what that would mean, please do come and ask, because having that conversation, we are flexible and energized, and we are open to finding out what would make that work for you. And now, this is really fun for me. Bev and I, for about the last 2 months, have been working on checking in with our overall community membership. And Louisville Center for Spiritual Living, if you're being served by us, we consider you a member of our community, and that's not going to change. But the reason why it's significant to take a look at the status of membership is because if there's something significant that we need to vote on, we need to know who our voting members are. And you need to be a declared member of the center and not maybe a friend or a person who just frequents every once in a while to visit us. So when we talked with everybody so far, actually now that number as of this morning would be 47. I talked to an additional person this morning. So excited that we have 47 confirmed people that consider themselves a member of our community, either as a member, a friend, or someone who frequents when something's going on that they'd like to experience. And what I want to say about this is, if any of you have not talked to either Bev or myself, please reach out so we can have that conversation. I sent a few emails to people that we've not talked with yet, because we want to give you an opportunity to say how you feel. We don't want to just assume because we see you frequently. We want to know what you have to say about how we're doing, and we want to know how we can serve you better. So some of the suggestions that we've had that we will be rolling around to see what we can do. People would like a midweek event sometimes, because there's several people who are not able to come on a Saturday or Sunday. And we're going to be looking at possibly doing solstice celebrations, pet blessings, which that was very interesting. We could actually do that even on Zoom. Book studies that aren't actually a class. Science of Mind Trivia Night is a way to have a game night that's related to center activities. And then we are going to be having more classes and workshops. And so, as you can see, there's a lot of possibilities, and we're just inviting you to continue reaching out to us. So go ahead, Rick. And so I'm going to turn this over to Miss Pat Ferguson.
Okay. Thank you very much, Vicki. I just want to say, yes, I see Bev down there. So we're all here this morning to give you this good news. What you see on your screen now is your 2020 budget review from last year. And you'll see Sunday offerings at $36,826. Those donations come in the form of personal checks that are mailed to our P.O. box, credit card transactions through PayPal and the Giveify app. And for a short period of time in 2020, we were also taking in-person donations through the Square app at the center. So I just want to say about that, the special donation, let me say this first, special donations are things like special charitable donations that people send us, or just music donations, music fund, that kind of thing. And that totaled $875. And then we got a little money from your Kroger and Amazon. If you're on Amazon Smile, when you order, if you have our name in there, we get a little something every quarter. Kroger, you have to renew that. If you did it once and put us down as a beneficiary, you have to do that every August, unless they've changed that, but I don't know that they have. So our total income is almost $38,000. And these donations Your donations to us are the reason that we're still here. Without them, we cannot pay our staff, and without our staff, there is no church. So to say that we are grateful for each and every one of you is a true understatement. We are. Then we move down into expenses, and you'll see that contractors' compensation, and that's for accounting services, technical support services, our center manager, and our lead musician, which we had for 3 months in 2020, made about $15,121 in expenses for us. Our minister was paid $7,466. And then the rent for 300 Spring, January through March, which also includes the storage unit we had there. And once, maybe twice, we had an extra hour of time when we stayed longer than our anticipated time. Next slide, please, Rick. Here under operations is where you get a multitude of little things. You can see from just everything that's listed there, there's constant contact that we pay for is in there. Office supplies, well, they're in the other one, but advertising for Meetup and things like that to get the name out, because that's very important. Our domain registrations, data protection, such as Carbonite, so that we don't lose certain things if something were to happen. And credit card fees are in there, and our post office box rental. Credit card fees are one thing I wanted to talk to you about just a little bit. We paid $573 in 2020 for credit card fees. Those fees are a convenience for you guys, and we are glad to be able to provide those services such as PayPal and Giveify that allows you to easily make your donations. We're looking into something called Zelle, Z-E-L-L-E, and we're looking at doing that with Chase Bank, and that will allow you to set up through your bank to just send us your donation through Zelle, and it won't cost you in fees and it won't cost us anything either. So it's no charge either way, and that's a good thing. We hope to get that up and running in the near future. Even before we get Zelle up and running, if you bank online, you can always set us up as a payee and just send us a check through the bank, no charge to you, no charge to us. And then you just go in and populate whatever the amount is and say, send it, and they will do the rest. So that's something you could also think of as well. Equipment and supplies, when we're in person, we have a few more, excuse me, equipment things, like microphones and cords that have to be replaced and that kind of thing, but we still do get a little bit of that virtually. And then office supplies, tax supplies, the different paper and ink and things like that. Those amounted to $620. We tithe 10% of our money from LCSL to 5% to our Centers for Spiritual Living home office, and 5% to a local charity. Now you'll notice that there's a difference there. We give 5%, the $1864 to home office, but then the charitable giving we gave was more than that. And that's you again. That is you sending us extra money at Christmas time to dole out to people who are in need. And we are so happy to do that. Through the year, people come up and say, here, I want to send you this, and I'd like for you to donate it to this cause or that cause. And this just shows how absolutely fantastic this group is. So our total expenses were $32,890. And that left us with a net income, a profit, if you will, $4,997, almost $5,000 in a year that was very, very tough and was definitely a year of change. So coming up next, we have, this is the 2021 proposed budget. It's a very, very basic nuts and bolt budget. It's also the minimum income we need to survive. And the more we have to work with, the more we can provide you. And as we grow, we know that we can pay more staff, we can provide more classes, more workshops, more live music, and other offerings can be added as we have the increased funds to provide them. But you'll see that our big expense here is paying our staff and our minister, and then the operations at $3,000. And when I say minister, I want to back up just a bit. That includes our spiritual director this year, because our minister is not with us. But that includes Rick's compensation and the speakers. Our guest speakers are included in that as well. We upgraded equipment and supplies just a bit, and charitable giving a bit. And this is what our total proposed budget for this year looks like. So if we go back to in-person, excuse me, we would definitely have to add almost another $10,000 to that. So that's when it gets tricky. But once again, I want to thank you for what you've been as far as keeping us going. We're here for you, but we could not be here for you if it weren't for all that you do for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. And now I'd like to just share some of my thoughts and comments here. First, saying congratulations to LCSL and especially to the leadership team for managing through the winds of change of 2020, from going from that in-person service to the virtual services and managing that successfully. For many centers, they have struggled. They've struggled to maintain any kind of a positive balance sheet. And so for the Louisville Center to be at the end of the year and find that they are almost $5,000 in the black, I think speaks very highly to how the finances have been managed. And so I'm grateful for that. We get to look at 2021 and where are we headed in the future? Are we going to stay virtual? Will we going back to in-person services? Will we be doing a hybrid of both in-person and virtual? And so that all remains to be seen as we continue through the pandemic and see how life unfolds. I want you to know that we will be keeping a pulse on the entire congregation. I know we have many of you that are from other states that want to be a part of the community. And so it appears to me, anyway, at this point, that we would always at least have to have a hybrid service. And in CSL, when we talk about a hybrid service, we mean even if we do in person, that we would also be having a virtual service as well. So we'd find a way to connect with our virtual audience. There's some opportunities here that I want to throw open to the congregation. As we look at where we're going and who we are as an organization, we need to update our mission and vision statements. When I came in January and started looking at our documents and where we are as an organization, I found that many of the things were left, well, should I say left, were created when I was the president of the board 12 years ago. And so I know that it's time for us to update and become who we are today. The winds of change have been blowing, so we need to go with that. So I'm looking for some volunteers from the congregation to serve on a committee to help update our mission and vision. And we will be asking people to step forward. We also, as a leadership team, will be updating policies and procedures and bylaws for the organization. So we have that open position on the board, and I just want to throw that out again to the congregation. If Spirit is nudging you to step into being part of the leadership for your spiritual community, I invite you to let us know so that you can answer that call when Spirit is asking you to step forward. We have decisions to make in the next year, the next few months, about will we add live music? We're using just our YouTube videos and some canned music, so to speak, but do we want to bring back our musicians and have live music? So that's another option for us to be talking about, as well as the workshops and the classes, so that we're meeting the needs. What needs do you have in terms of connection? Vicki has shared, as they have reached out to the membership, that there are many things people were looking for: a midweek service of some sort, some kind of connection there. I've also seen a lot of centers that have done like a coffee and chat time with a minister. So that might be something that we could do. Book studies, social nights, times where we can get together. And sometimes that might just need to be on Zoom so that we're safe, but we're also finding new and creative ways to connect with one another and to support each other. So we're looking ahead to 2021. We're looking at what do we want to do? Who do we want to be as a spiritual community? And I invite you to be a part of that. Another change that we have made is we have a new phone number for our center. And this will be in your e-blast. It will be on our website, and we will be publicizing this so that everyone is aware. When you need to call the center for support, for questions, then this is our new number. Much of our marketing material had been tied to Reverend Carolyn's home phone and her address in Indiana. And since she is moving with her daughter to Kentucky, we needed to change the addresses, we needed to change phone numbers, and so we're stepping forward to bring that new face to LCSL. So Vernon has set up our new phone number, and we will be publicizing that. Now, that's the end of what I have to share right now, and I'd like to open the microphones and the floor that we can ask questions, share ideas, and anything that you would like. So Vernon, if you could unmute us, or if you would like to say something or ask a question, you can unmute yourself. Pat.
I just wanted to say Bev had her hand up.
I guess I go to gallery view, don't I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Beverly, there she is.
I'm thinking about the group on mission and vision. And could you tell me just a little more about it? Like how many times we might need to meet, time commitment, how many people you want in the group, what kind of people you want in the group, anything like that.
Great question. Thank you for that, Bev. And I don't have all the answers to it, but I would anticipate that this might be about a 4-week connection, and we might meet once a week, depending on the group and their availability. So I'm looking at maybe 4 meetings, and those meetings might be an hour to hour and a half each, no longer than that. We would keep it short and keep it manageable, and be creating the mission and vision. So anyone is welcome who would be willing to share thoughts. What we would be doing is a little meditation. We would connect with who are we as an organization? What do we do well? We'll share some ideas with that, and then we look for common themes that emerge of what we do as an organization. So if there are things that you really like about the Louisville Center and you want to make sure that that's part of our mission, then I invite you to be a part of that group so that we have representation from everyone. So I want people who are local to Louisville, and I want people who are not local to Louisville to be part of this creating the new mission and vision. Knowing that this time has unfolded perfectly, and that Spirit has been the leader, the guider, and the wisdom in all that we have done. We are grateful, and with that heart of gratitude for all that is and all that will be, we release this time, we release each other into the life to follow the guidance of Spirit. With love, with joy, and with peace, I bless each one of us as we go forth this week. I release my word, and we seal it by saying together, and so it is.